All right, 7th graders, we're going to go through a lesson that talks about inequalities. And inequalities are number sentences that use these symbols, greater than, or less than, or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. So we're going to be talking about two things, two quantities, and comparing them with these symbols. The inequalities will be written with a letter on one side, and then telling that the letter is either greater than or less than, or greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to one of the numbers. For example, we could write that the speed or speed limit of something on most highways is you can go either equal to or less than 55 miles per hour. So this inequality, speed has to be less than or equal to 55, is the number sentence for what we would write in that situation. Here's how what the graph looks like when you're graphing an inequality. First of all, you draw a number line, and you mark where 0 is on the number line. And then you go back and look at the inequality sentence. If it says n is less than 5, we mark 5 on the number line, and you're going to mark it with a specific type of dot. This dot will either be an open dot or a solid dot. Now, how do you know which one to use?
The open one has both of the arrows pointing at each other, and the tips pointing at each other.
Good.
And the solid has two of the tips pointing at each other.
And it has the line underneath. And the ones that are the open dots do not have the line underneath the symbol. They do not have, they're not equal to, they don't have that equal to part in the symbol. So when you look at these two symbols, this one is less than or equal to, that's these two symbols, and that uses a solid dot. Okay? Whenever you have just the arrow, either the greater than sign or the less than sign, then you use an open dot. Okay? So just the symbol, if it just has the arrow, you only use an open dot. And if it has the equal to part, the line underneath, you use a solid dot. You can maybe remember that this is it's a bigger symbol. It's more information, or it could be equal to. So this number could be used. If it's an open dot, it means this number does not make it true. It has to be less than that number, or it has to be greater than that number. Okay? So, that's how you use decide which dot to use. Now, how do you know which way to draw the arrow then? Well, when the variable is written first in the inequality, then the arrow goes the same direction as the symbol is pointing. Okay? So this says n is less than 5, and it's pointing to the left. The variable is written first, n is less than 5, and we can draw the line in the same direction as this symbol is pointing. And that's true whenever the variable is written first. S is less than or equal to 55. We could shade or draw the arrow to the left because that's the way this symbol is pointing. Okay? Look at this one. This says n is greater than -3. And so we mark -3 with an open dot. It's not equal to, doesn't have the equal to part, so we use an open dot. And then we can draw the arrow in the same direction that the symbol is pointing. Okay? Jen?
Kind of a Band-Aid.
Yep. Right now, you need it?
It's an emergency.
It's an emergency, you're bleeding on that.
Oh, I'm not bleeding, but I busted open a blister.
Alright,
So down.
let's go to the equal to sign. If it has an equal to sign, we shade it in.
You made another video.
We can still draw the arrow the direction that the symbol is pointing, as long as the variable is written first in the sentence. Okay? Take a look at this example here. Negative 25 is less than or equal to v. Negative 25 is less than or equal to v. Now, the difference here in this one is that the number is written first. Negative 25 is less than v. Okay? That means that this is telling what negative 25 is. It's kind of like negative 25 is the subject of that sentence, rather than v being the subject. So in this case, when the number is written first, then you cannot draw the arrow the same direction as the symbol is pointing. Okay? That only works when the variable is written first. When the number is written first, then you have to draw it in the opposite direction, or you have to rewrite it so that the variable is written first. So we can write this, we can rewrite this as v is greater than or equal to negative 25. That means the same thing. We just turned this whole thing, we turned that sentence around so that the variable is written first. Okay? Nate?
So on our worksheet, we can just pick a random letter.
No, the letter will always, whenever you're selecting a letter to use in math, the letter is usually tells us what the subject is. If we're talking about speed, we should use S. If we're talking about the number of students, we could use S, or we could use N for number of students.
How do we do it on our worksheet? Because there's like no word problem, there's just
Let's start going through the worksheet. Now I'm going to help you with some of these examples. Okay? So, go to the reteaching side of your worksheet. The first section tells us to write an inequality. And whenever you're just writing an inequality, the three most common variables that are used are x, or y, or n. Okay? And those are good ones because they don't look like any numbers. If you use s, it can look like the number 5. If you use L, it can look like the number 1. So the most common are x, y, and n. So you can use either of those three, x, the letter x, or the letter y. No, it's not the letter, it's not times. Alright, I don't want you to use x for times anymore, because it can be confused with the letter x. Okay? So we can use a dot for times. You can put or parentheses for times. Don't use the letter x anymore. Alright? Let's just use the letter n for a number. An unknown number. Now, let's start with the variable n. Because that way we can point the symbol the same direction as the arrow is pointing. Or this line, this shaded part of the arrow is pointing. It's pointing to the right. Okay? But we still have to decide, since this is using a solid dot, should this be greater than, or should it be greater than or equal to? Should we have the line underneath the symbol, or should it just be the arrow? Right? It should have the line under it. So it should say n is greater than or equal to, and then the number that it's on. Nope, the dot is on
No, -2.
negative. down one. Again, start with N. And we're going to use the symbol, it's going to go to the left because we wrote the variable first. So we can point our arrow the same as the shaded, the same as the direction that is shaded. Should we use an open, or should we, since this is an open dot, should we use the less than sign or the less than or equal to sign? This is the less than, and the number that it's marked. Okay. Number 5, start with N. This is a solid dot. We can point it the direction that it's shaded because we started with the variable. And should we use the greater than or equal to sign? Yeah, put the line underneath it because this is a solid dot. And then write what number is marked. That's how you know what number to write, is whatever the dot is marking. Okay? Go to the back side. It says write an inequality for each sentence. So we're going to write a number sentence, an inequality, based on what it says. The total t, so we're going to use t, is less than 16. Which symbol means less than? Yeah, which way does it point?
To the left.
To the
right.
To the light.
right.
You do that right.
Yes.
Number 2, the number h, we use h, is not less than. So it is greater than
Or equal.
No, or equal to. Number 3, the price P is less than or equal to 25.
Oh, that makes sense. They both do it. This one makes sense, but the other one doesn't.
And number 4, a number n is negative, which means it cannot be 0. It has to be less than 0. Jen?
Why would number 2 get a line underneath it? Yeah.
Well, if h is not less than, then it could be 7 or greater, right? Number 5. So this is just like the front side that we did. Use n again. And we can use the same direction as the shaded part. It's pointing to the left. But it has a solid dot, so we have to use the equal to sign under it and then write the number. So it's just like the other side. Alright, I think we had enough. Number 9. if x is less than 2, how would we mark that on the line? We mark negative 2. Mark negative 2, but we have to use a certain type of dot. What kind of dot should we use? Right?
Open.
An open dot. And for the less than sign, since the variable is written first in the sentence, we can draw an arrow. And I want you to draw the arrow right above the line, not right on the line. Put it right above the line so that it's easier to see. How about number 10? How would we mark number 10? Y is greater than or equal to negative 1. What kind of dot should we use?
Solid.
Solid dot. Mark the number with a solid dot. And draw a line right above the line to the right. Because the variable is written first, and the arrow is, or the symbol is pointing to the right. Now, in all of these, the variable is written first. What if the variable is not written first? If the variable is not written first, then you have to draw the line in the opposite direction that the symbol is pointing. So, if this said negative 2 is greater than x, that means the same thing as x is less than negative 2. It means the same thing. So we would still graph it this way, but notice that the arrow that we draw is the opposite way that the symbol is pointing. Okay? So whenever you see it written this way with the number first, then you should recognize that I have to shade the opposite direction that it's pointing. Okay? Let's do number 13. In this one, actually in each of these, they give you the variable that you should use. Now, if they don't give you a variable, then you should figure out what the subject is. What are we graphing? For example, everyone in the class, so you can use C for class, or S for students, or something like that. You should use, it says to use X in this case. But if it doesn't say that, if it doesn't give you the specific letter to use, then choose a letter that makes sense based on what the situation is. We're going to use X, because that's what it says to use. It says everyone in the class is under 13 years old. So is there anyone 13 years old? No, in this situation. Congratulations. But is there anyone in this situation that is 13? No. Everyone is less than 13 years. Okay. All right. Those are some examples from the worksheet. Finish the worksheet on your own.